Top of the morning to you. How's it going,
Hey,
John? Welcome to Coffee with Den. This is episode 60 something, right? 66. That's right.
we're so close.
So we're going to get our kicks this morning. I was working on something this morning. I'm excited. I'm going to show some stuff off. I just posted it as a reply to my own post in the coffee layer. But yeah, so episode 66, Coffee with Den. There is a link to join this show. If you're out there and you want to swing by and have some coffee with us, go to the Coffee with Den layer, and there's a link in there. You can join. You can pop right up here on the screen. Show your face if you want to. If not, that's cool. We've got some rewarded update stuff. I'm sorry, some updates on reward stuff. I'm not awake yet. So if you do chime in, either in YouTube chat or Odyssey chat, or comment on their post on Den, or join the show, you get rewarded. You get some tokens. And you get a bunch more for actually joining now, thanks to John last week. Thank you for that.
Yo, we gotta give Juicy J some shit.
Who we got? Juicy J and Hyperion Frequency. Good morning. Good morning. We can go ahead and hand those out this morning.
What up? Yo, New York's so fucking nice today. We had like 2 days of flurries and it's gorgeous out. Like, check this shit out.
You had flurries? It's been chilly here in Florida, in sunny Florida.
Look at how gorgeous it is. It's been just
blue skies.
Yeah, it's just been blanketed white for the past 2 days. In like 35, like it's cold enough to have flurries and to be windy, but not like snow. So it's like 35 and then just like shit. Yeah.
It's been gorgeous here, dude. I know like there's a limited number of days in the year where if you live in Florida that you can be like, dude, it is paradise.
Yeah.
Because it's either usually it's muggy and hot and swampy, or it's one of the only places that I've ever lived, and I've lived in a lot of places where we talk about mosquitoes as part of the weather patterns,
Yeah.
It's like, it's a nice day out. Mosquitoes are kind of kicking though. It's always part of the weather conversation.
They're so they're so weather based. So like it has to be. I'm curious to see what it's like here. Our vet was like, it went to UF. Our vet here went to UF. And that's why we picked her. And
right on.
And she's like, by the way, in the summer, the humidity here is just as bad as Gainesville. I was like, shut your fucking mouth. That's what I want. I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
I guess you are all up on the water there, though. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. I feel like I'm sure she's right. I'm not going to argue with her, but I just feel like every time I go to the beach here in Florida, it's better because there's more wind or something. I don't know.
The beach, though, Gainesville's like this muggy, isolated swamp. Like, it's because there's so many trees. There's no wind that gets to Gainesville, and so flat. Like, there's no wind that gets to Gainesville. So, like, I'm on the Hudson. Like, there's wind. Like, I'm on the water. There's got to be wind and a breeze.
Yeah,
like,
it's got to be better, man. Oh man, and this is like where people in Gainesville is where people go to get away from like hurricanes and stuff too. Yeah. I was trying to argue with my insurance company about that because I don't know if you know this, but everyone left Florida and stopped doing business here as far as insurance companies go. Yeah,
that's
fucking. My friend works for one of the big ones. I forget which one. It's not. You know what? It doesn't matter. It's Progressive. Anyway,
I don't think Progressive does homeowners insurance.
No, they don't do auto insurance. They don't do any insurance.
Left the state.
They left Florida. They're just like, peace. I'm gone.
I got to talk to Dakota. I think we have Progressive for our auto insurance.
Yeah,
we'll have to figure that out. That's funny though.
But before I finish talking about auto insurance, we got Gravity Crab, who wasn't here last week. But what's up, dude? Good morning.
Or the week before, arguably.
He was here last week. He popped.
Oh, yeah, you popped in. That's right.
Popped in to tell us about his shit customer.
He popped in to get his lot reward.
That guy, by the way, his cousin stole his hard drive.
His cousin stole
his hard drive
out of his computer.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, y'all.
Oh, that's the story you popped in to tell. That's right.
Oh, because I asked him. I was like, hey, do you have an enemy? And he was like, oh, yeah, my cousin looked at it. I was like, is he known to be a thief? And he was like, I was like, all right, so that lets us know what happened.
Oh, my God. I thought he, like, asked his cousins, like, That's like the weirdest thing to fess up to.
Oh, I'm sure he's gonna ask him. I would hope he's gonna ask him.
Yeah, that's
so
funny, man.
I still have that guy's laptop because people take forever to pick stuff up.
I mean, it's not funny for him, but it's a funny
No, it's
story.
funny as hell. As a computer technician. Good morning, y'all.
Yeah,
hope
good
y'all
morning.
are doing well.
Yeah, we are. We were just talking about how some insurance companies have just vacated Florida entirely. They just don't do business here.
Boy.
Yeah, they just were like, fuck it, it's too expensive. There's too many storms and hurricanes and stuff, and we're not going to do it. So bye.
I can kind of see that, actually.
But I was arguing with mine a little bit about like, hey, I'm in Gainesville though. People come here to get away from the storms. Can I get a deal? Like, I don't want to be rated at such an expensive price just because I'm in Florida at all. You know, like I'm in a safe spot in Florida though. I'm not in Miami. I'm not in Tampa.
You can have like a zone, like a little strip in the middle that's just the relatively okay area of Florida gets a better price.
Yeah. Hey, let's bring up I Am for I Am is here with us. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Oh, good morning. I'm on my phone. I'm kind of doing something right now.
Okay, I'll put you back down and bring you back up.
Good morning, guys.
He's too busy for us now.
No, never.
I'm glad you're here though, because I want to look at some numbers and data with you. I got some stuff. It's cool.
Cool.
Oh, when did we get a new password to reset page, by the way?
Cool. So let's do some updates.
Because I had to deal with that a little while ago. So perfect timing.
So here's what we'll do. We'll go over that real quick with the logins on Den and how that's swapped over. We'll go into it more detail on Den.social tomorrow. We will hand out a couple of lot tokens to the people that are already in chat and who have commented on the post as per John's governance proposal last week. And then I also replied to this week's coffee post with a couple of leaderboards that I literally this morning I finished like coming up with the scoring because there was something. I was on a dog walk and it came to me like, that's how you do it. So we'll talk about that.
You were on a dog walk and had an epiphany?
Yeah. Sometimes it's on a dog walk. Sometimes I'm in the bathroom. You know, it's just like you get out of your like where you're zoned in for a minute and then your brain starts thinking of other things. And you're like, oh, you know what? That's an option. So
the top 20. Okay. Never mind.
Top 20 evaluators is what we're going to
I got to that the second that you read it. So that messed me up for a minute.
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, this is
all right. But first, we got Hyro, we got Juicy J, we got Hyperion Frequency, and I got to go look at the GI from last week to see what the rules are.
Lisa's here.
Is Lisa here? Cool. What's up, Lisa?
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Lisa in so long.
Perfect. So let me just go to our governance section here because I don't remember what we said last week. So we did, let me just resize it and then boom. So John proposed one lot for each comment. That's going to be a reply to the, you know what we do? Let's go back. I'll show the post I made.
It was fine where you were.
I didn't want to do it that way.
It was totally fine.
I know.
It's Dave. He has to take like the roundabout way for everything.
Well, no, because I just realized I didn't well, yeah, okay, you're right. I didn't actually publish like the results. I'm not awake. I didn't talk about it. So here's the lot that was handed out last week.
My appearance total is 10, and that is wrong.
No, it's not. You got to pay attention, man. You got to read the proposal. So the reason for that is that now every 30 minutes that you're on, every 30 minute, you chop this show into, like, let's say it's an hour long. Let's say it's 2.5 hours long. Let's say it's 1.5 hours long. There's increments of 30 minutes in there. And so every 30 minutes that you appear, you get 10 lot. Now, I thought about this when I was doing it, and I don't think that means you can pop in for 2 seconds, come back in 40 minutes.
No,
pop
absolutely
in,
not.
Come back in 25 more minutes, pop in again, and then get 30 lot. That's not going to happen.
No, I can't just circumstantially chime in and reap the lot reward. No, absolutely.
Yeah. I thought I could bounce in, bounce out, bounce out, and get 30.
Yeah, wouldn't that be perfect? Like
you can, but you have to do it 60 times of 30 seconds apiece. Like,
oh my god,
that's how it is.
So that's what's up.
I'm gonna get bots for this.
And I think if we're ever
don't give them ideas.
if you're ever worried, like I'd always overestimate. Like I'd rather give away too much than not enough.
Yeah, considering that's what I was doing previously already. So this came from when I was catching up on handing out lot rewards on the coffee show. I literally just haven't been doing it because I've been doing other stuff and I've been like, oh, I'll get around to it. And then I didn't. So I started handing them out in front of John live. And he was like, wait, that's how you're scoring who gets how much lot? Everyone's like, so he put his foot down and opened a governance proposal, which is what you do.
He knows people in powerful places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go back and
things
watch
done.
that one just so I can see John just freak out about that and rewrite the whole system.
Yeah, because I was giving people that, for example, if you just chimed in with a reply versus sitting on this show for 2 hours talking was the same number of lot reward.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Yeah, you can see now.
And he was like, wait, hang on. I feel like that's not right.
Damn it, Dave. I thought you had a system.
Well, my system is this, and this is the honest truth. I'll do it kind of good to where there's something there, and then I'll wait for somebody else to say, that's not as good as it could be. Here's how you should be doing it. And I'll say, oh, thank you. Let's do it that way.
That's my whole MO in life.
That's kind of like open source mentality, where it's like you publish some bullshit. It's like, hey, here's a thing that's kind of a thing. And then somebody else chimes in and says, yeah, but you could really do that thing this way. It's a lot better. And here's a pull request. Merge this code. Make it better. So that's why I did it that way. And that's why I kind of do that with Den too. Like a lot of people that are like, hey, do things differently. I'm like, cool.
I
Let me
tell my
know-
brothers the same thing. I'm the third generation. There were two
Mhm.
brothers that are older than me. We should do it this way. And then that's how I came out.
Yeah.
That's why you're perfect.
So far from it.
So congrats to these people. That's awesome.
Nice.
Now we got a couple of people in chat already this morning. So what did we say?
Lisa
chat
wanted to
gets?
know when the road trip was. It was yesterday. It was great, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah, we're here to talk about the recap.
There's a road trip? What?
All right, so yeah, you get 5 lot, right, for like just chiming in chat, and then that's like 5 lot total. Like if you
Yeah.
chime in one time and just say what's up, like that's still 5 compared if you just
If you
sit
flood chat, maybe you get 2.5 instead of 5. No, you just get 5 if you
there.
show up in
I
chat.
like
Yeah.
that too,
I
'cause
can't participate right now. I'm in the chat.
it keeps people from like spamming also probably if we ever get that big. And then like I like the reply stuff like on the actual post too,
Yeah.
because it's nice having like some feedback there.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about and
Yeah.
interact there. I agree with that.
I will
And
say
that was-
one thing we don't have to do is stop the show to give out lot. We don't have to be
All
like,
right.
oh shit, this person chimed in. Pew 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 party. Let's give them out 5 lot. Like we don't have to do that.
Okay. Good, because that's what you said in the thing in the GI. And so I was
Wait
like,
till
all
that
right,
s-
that'll be weird.
No, you
But,
just
Chat
do
scroll
it. You
is
just
going-
do it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So when you
It's-
guys are talking about stuff, I can go do it. I got you.
And to me, this is a chance for you to not talk.
That's
This
amazing.
This is a chance for you to go. I'm gonna step away from this conversation for 10
It's a
seconds.
chance for John to just take over and ruin something.
I don't take over and ruin things. I'm not a ruiner.
Actually,
Hey,
you arguably have great ideas most of the time. Well,
Yeah.
You know,
hold on.
if you didn't catch
half of the
John's
time.
if you didn't catch John's episode of World Blockchain Roundtable last week,
You
it
fucked
was a
up.
lot of fun. You fucked up. You should have caught it. You can still catch it. It's still there. It's recorded.
Yeah, luckily it's recorded, so we're golden.
But yeah, there's like we did a game show. We did some questions. We went back to the game show, kind of hop back and forth. It was a lot of fun. And also, the format of that show has drifted a little bit. And it's also, I've always thought maybe the current events segment throws people off at the beginning because it's a blockchain show. And we start off with like a half an hour of just not blockchain stuff. Anyway, my point is we kept more viewers through a longer portion of that show than we have in recent history, which is cool. Like just seeing that, all right, you can switch it up a little bit and people don't get bored as quickly. So thanks, John, for that. I think maybe I don't know. What do you think about pushing the current events I am to the end of that show.
Oh, I think we should.
You know?
And Lisa's in the chat. And like,
Oh yeah,
all
Lisa
these-
too. I was
all these
thinking
other
about that.
All these other people watch this show. Let me know what you think. What was it John Wayne and I? Jacob Wayne, not John
Jacob
Wayne.
Wayne. Yeah.
John Wayne,
Named
lives
after
in
John
Texas,
Wayne, but yeah.
different kind of John Wayne.
Just as badass.
Yeah. Because it was pithy. Oh, we had like an hour-long conversation about the definition of pithy
The word
on this
pithy.
show. Oh, it was awful. It's fine. But yeah, like Jacob Wayne and I are going back and forth, like talking about the ideas and stuff, and like just different ways to like mess with the format to make it more engaging.
Yeah.
And to encourage people not to like talk over each other, and also to like stay focused on one topic, because like there's so many smart people that have really great things to say on a lot of different things, but that's the problem, is that it's always a lot of different things at once. Like we'll talk about one thing, it's like, oh, that reminds me of this, here's a great point. I'm like, and it's like, yeah, that's really wonderful, but we gotta like stay on the thing.
You know the irons in the fire analogy of like
too many irons in the fire.
yeah, like you put an iron in the fire, and you like every time you change the subject and you start talking about something else before taking that iron out, like you're just adding them in, and then by the end,
It's cooks in the kitchen.
is it cooks in the kitchen?
Irons in the fire is you have too many projects you're working on at the same time.
I heard someone describe it to me as a writing analogy. If you're writing a book, telling a story, where
This is
they
wrong.
introduce
They're
concepts.
This is wrong. Let me tell you how you're wrong, but you tell me what you think it is.
Let's call it chips on the table, not iron in the fire.
Chips on the table doesn't work.
Go
either.
past out your watch, Dave. Go past out-
Look, man, all I'm trying to say is if you don't wrap something up and you dovetail into a bunch of different things, you end up with a bunch of topics on the table, and nobody knows what you're really here to talk about, because you got a bunch of different things going on
I can see how that's irons. Sure.
Yeah, but
in the
I
fire.
don't agree with him.
but having a lot of irons in the fire too is like, it means I'm working on a lot of things. I've got a lot of things cooking.
That's why I changed it to chips on the table, so it wouldn't confuse you.
But that analogy doesn't work either, because that means you're just betting on one thing really
what kind
hard.
of chips
No,
are they?
potato chips.
That's even worse.
All right, so
Too many
That
cooks in the
analogy,
kitchen. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
too many cooks
That's
in the
why.
kitchen. All right,
Yeah,
cooks in the
yeah.
kitchen. That's related to this week's episode on restaurants with World Blockchain Roundtable. So get
Yeah.
your questions into the WBRT layer.
This week's on
about-
restaurants.
Yeah.
And if there aren't enough questions in there too, that gives me more license to make more dumb bits. So if you want more dumb bits, let me know. And that's it.
Lisa brings up a good point though. What if
Yes.
they're tortilla chips?
Yeah,
Wait,
that
when did-
changes everything. I mean, we're now
Yeah,
we're in a
And
different.
are they the ones that are
whole
like
different thing. Yeah,
different colored, like that have like you get like the rainbow color?
you know what
The
we're
blue
doing?
ones.
We're
Yeah, the blue ones.
reenacting. We're reenacting the show right now, talking over each other and arguing about
I think it's
small
busy.
details.
I think
We
it's busy.
do.
Yeah, but they would be arguing over like blockchain details, and we're talking about whether or not they're like 4th of July tortilla chips or they're just the regular corn tortilla chips that you get. Like,
Oh my god.
is there salsa? Who the fuck knows? Nobody cares.
There's
It's
too
fine.
many irons in the fire.
Everybody, shut up. No.
All right, so we've decided that analogy didn't work. It's cooks in the kitchen. That's what I was trying to say the whole time.
So the lot
And those
system-
cooks are creating
I'm fine
tortilla
with
chips.
irons. I'm fine
So
with
the
irons.
lot
I'm just-
system works great, and we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work great, we'll figure it out later. Great.
Cool.
And then,
Now
like,
that's settled. While I am is still here, because I think you might have to leave, right?
Actually, it's spring break. I don't have
Oh,
to
it
take
is
the kid
spring break.
anywhere.
Well, we'll talk about it anyway because it's a numbers thing, and you love numbers. And
Yeah.
that.
that explains a lot.
So let's pop over to what I was doing this
I'm
morning.
here for the lot, man. That's all I'm here for.
Just here for the lot.
I just want to point this out like super quick.
Yeah.
You just talked about how on a World Blockchain Roundtable, how they start the show talking about current events when the show is supposed to be about blockchain or whatever else. You titled for this show,
Yeah.
you titled it road
trips.
trips.
Yeah, road trips.
And the first things we did is talk about lot,
Yeah.
tortilla chips, and now when there's
Yeah.
a break, you're like, but let's talk about this other thing.
Because I'm excited about it. Let's get a vote. We
Don't
want road.
get the topic of the show.
Well, that's the inside joke. Sometimes we don't get to the topic. How's that?
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. I was thinking about when I was making my coffee today. Road trips. I wonder if we're going to really talk about that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how you're like
Tune in and find out.
That's the inside joke. You really want to retain people, don't you? By starting the show off with an inside joke. If you haven't been here before,
The jokes are in the fire. The jokes are in the fire.
Well, what's your favorite road trip that you've been on ever in your whole life, John? We don't need numbers right now. You've got a good point.
There's a few. I think there's a few different ways to like segue this into shit. One, Mandalorian came out, and that's really just a giant ass road trip that he takes with the little green dude that's on your shirt. Another awesome road trip I did. I just went to. It wasn't like a road trip. I went to. Can we also talk about the new episode of Man? Yeah, absolutely.
You're a lion. He said that before you said it.
Yeah. And then I also recently went to St. Lucia, which is one of those like designated natural preserved history places of the world.
But that's an island. That's not a road.
They have roads. It's not like there's no roads on this island. And like we had to take a trip on one of the roads that like to like this is like one of the top 5 resorts in the world. We went there for like dinner, and to get there, it is like it's like going on Shikra. And I don't know if people know what that is. It's like going somewhere
on a roller coaster
on a wooden roller coaster. It's just like the worst fucking bumpy thing, constantly having to stop to other cars. This is to go to this hotel. Like this hotel's like $2,000 a night to stay there. Fucking nuts, right? And to get there, it's the worst road I've been on. And like, how can they just not afford to put like a nice road?
Just imagining
and they're like,
part of the experience.
Was it worth it? Was it worth it though? Still, once you got there, it was, right?
No, I had the worst martini I've ever had in my life there.
The worst.
The room.
Oh, we didn't stay at that hotel. We stayed at a different hotel.
You just went there to eat?
Went there for dinner. Our hotel view is better, and it's also like 18 and up. We also paid for it with miles. So we did not spend $2,000 a night on it. But anyway, we went there, and the martini had enough ice on the top of it that you could ice skate on it. It was crazy. I don't know if people know what a martini is, right? It's basically just cold gin or vodka.
Like a frozen layer of ice on top?
Yeah, it was just like a frozen layer.
Why was there even ice?
The foam?
Because you shake or stir the drink, and the guy didn't strain it when he put it in the glass.
What the hell?
Okay.
I was so mad.
It was sealed off.
Yeah.
Sealed off from you. Had to break through the ice.
This isn't a James Bond resort then.
Yeah. So we went there. And we were talking to the locals, like, why haven't they paved the road? They're like, they do it to keep the locals away. Because the beaches in St. Lucia, anybody can go to any beach. They're public, like, no matter, like, if it's a resort or not. Like, yeah, it's fucking expensive to go there and, like, buy a drink or to get a cabana or something. But, like, it's just to keep away the locals. Like, that's horrible.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, that's
like, don't make it too convenient for the locals to get there.
Yeah. So the other way to get to this resort also is by helicopter. You can fly into Jamaica.
Yeah.
And then you have to helicopter from Jamaica there.
I Am recently went down to Virgin Islands to do some stuff. Speaking of islands.
Jacob Wayne.
What did I call him?
You called
him.
Oh, whatever. Jacob Wayne went down to the Virgin Islands recently.
Nice.
Yeah, he said he was gonna post some footage. He makes videos for real estate or for stuff.
But that's an island. That's not a road trip.
Yeah, I think
That's
the
true.
definition is you have to get there by road.
All right. I when we moved to New York, we drove from Florida to New York City. And
That's a move. That's not a road trip.
It was a trip on the fucking road.
I'm gonna give him that one. All right.
Yeah, you can.
This is the part
Okay, good
where
point.
John
Versatile.
describes all of his all of his favorite vacation and road tripping memories, and we all tell him
Lavish
how
vacations.
we all tell him how that's not a road trip.
All right. What about when we drove to Asheville to get married? I think that counts. Like that was a road trip. Drove on the road, and then we had to drive somewhere else.
That was a marriage trip.
Boring
used to-
ass.
It's not like I took the marriage parkway. Like it's not like it was a different avenue of getting there.
You're
For
on the
the record,
highway to hell.
Juicy J's comment was about moving to New York as a road trip, not the marriage trip to Asheville being a boring ass trip.
I hope so. We did stop in Raleigh and stay with a friend. See you, Hyperion.
Hyperion said we had derailed our conversation. That's not a road trip either. That's railroad tracks.
That's rails, man.
They've been
That's-
doing that a lot
yeah.
lately.
Speaking
Hyperion's like, fuck this. I'm gonna watch this on replay at 2x speed.
We all got to talk real fast so he can't keep up.
I was gonna sidebar again, but I'll save it. State of Ohio is suing Norfolk Southern, so that's
I was wondering.
that's
about
a rail
that,
thing.
actually.
Yeah,
That took a long time.
I took a lot of road trips whenever I was in the Navy because I would move a lot.
You were on a boat. That doesn't count as a
Yeah.
road trip.
Yeah, but also I moved around in the United States a lot to different bases or different. Like I started out in Chicago, and I went from Chicago to San Diego, and I went from San Diego to Bath, Maine, in the opposite corner. And I had the option of like getting the government to pay movers to come move me up there, but if I wanted to do it myself, they would actually pay you to do it yourself. And so I was always the person who was like, I'm going to spend a week moving, and it's a pain in my ass, and I'm going to do it the cheapest way possible so I can make money on it. You know, I was always trying to squeeze some extra because they'll pay you money to move based on what they estimate it costing, and then if you can be tight about it, then you get to make money. So I drove.
Cash.
The longest one I've been on was from San Diego across on I-10 to Florida. I was talking to you, I think, on Den about this, about how it takes like a day or so to get across Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then so from there to Florida, from Florida up to Maine. So the whole coastline from San Diego all the way around and up to Maine. That was a long ass trip. My favorite one though was like Asheville. You talked about a road trip to Asheville to get married. My wife and I go to Asheville like probably once a year, maybe every couple of years, but we get there routinely. And it's awesome, man. The Blue Ridge Mountains, stuff like that. That's what I like about road trips is the driving part. If you go through some place that's cool, it doesn't have to be lush like mountains and stuff. We also went through like Death Valley in the desert, and that was also cool. Or is that where you are in Death Valley?
No, I have a question.
Go for it. What do you got?
If I don't go to the closest Walmart, but I go to the one that's a little further away, is that a road trip?
Yes.
Is that farther than you typically go? Then yes.
I feel like for it to be a road trip, you should have to stop for a bathroom break along the way. So I feel like a road trip
I'll
has to
stop
be
at the first
longer,
Walmart.
right? Like I feel like if you stop at the first Walmart, use the bathroom, get in your car, and drive. Yeah, sure, that can be a road trip, but like it can't be so short that like you know what I mean? Like you can't drive like 2 hours and be like that's a road trip. It's like no, like it has to like you have to like fill up for gas or go to the bathroom.
Dude.
All right, Dave, continue on. So Death Valley, what?
So that was my longest one. My most memorable one, the actual really good road trip, was it was kind of a shit show, and that's what kind of makes it good too. But I was managing Loco Chino, and we had a music festival up in like Pennsylvania that we got hired to go play at, and one of the band members had just bought a big freaking like RV. But it was like an 80s era, like a 1985 big ass RV, big block engine, you know. So we fixed it up a little bit. And we said, like, of course, we don't do a test road trip or anything before we go across country. We were just like, cool, let's take this beast on the road and go to this music festival. We ended up breaking down like 5 different times, blew out a tire, got stuck in a small town where even the local mechanic couldn't figure out what was going on for like 2 days. And we ended up at the festival an hour and a half before we were supposed to be on stage and play. And I ended up like, there was one point where we just kept trying to fix the same thing and not finding the actual problem. Some dude on the side of the road had stopped with a truck full of tools and he worked on the carburetor. The auto shop like replaced the carburetor and a bunch of the gas line. We stopped and I personally bought a bunch of fuel line and replaced it from the fuel tank all the way to the carburetor and from that to the engine. And every freaking time it was a little bit better, but it was still not working. And it ended up being, we were at the top of a mountain stuck in the middle of the road, blocking traffic both ways. There was cars like trying to go through the mountains, but we're blocking up traffic. And it ended up being, there was like a little pinhole leak in one of the, like, you know how, I don't know if you know how a gas tank works, but there's a straw that goes in to suck the gas out. So the straw, if you ever had like a hole in your straw drinking a soda or a milkshake, there's a straw about a hole about halfway down on the, like on that tube that went into the gas tank. So if it was like a full tank or almost down to a half a tank, it felt like you fixed it. Oh, it's working fine. But then it would just start sucking air. So I switched the lines so it's, you know, using different stuff and there's no hole and it works and we get there. But we ended up writing a whole album based on that trip and naming it Odyssey. Yeah. And it was awesome. So sometimes, like, I don't know, sometimes road trips are good enough to write music about, I guess.
Do you have is that a question?
Yeah, I have a question. If you have a driver and you're like in the back seat, is that a road trip?
Yes.
Driving Miss Daisy.
You don't have to drive, you know what I mean? But like, is the trip long enough for you to have to stop and go to the bathroom?
Depending on how old
I still feel like
is.
that rule is still part of it.
That's the overwhelming metric that matters to John, is how I imagine as you get older it gets easier to qualify as a road trip.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe a road trip needs to be qualified like an overnight stay as well, because it has to have a certain length.
That's fair.
Well,
I guess
food,
Juicy
snacks.
J is talking about stopping along the way for breakfast. That's a pretty good indication of road trip too. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about this because I still don't know if he saw Mount Rushmore or not. I feel like he just saw the poster and was like, cool, and then they kept going.
Good enough.
Like, I stopped to eat breakfast. I saw a poster of Mount Rushmore saying 15 minutes away.
That's how I catch up on like
to eat breakfast. Kept going.
Yeah, that's how I catch up on new movies and stuff too. I see the advertisement for it. I see the trailer, and I'm like, "Yep, that's a thing."
That's good
I saw the
enough.
ad for that.
So was it a spontaneous stop for breakfast or a spontaneous stop to see the poster?
I assume it was a spontaneous stop at Mount Rushmore because I feel like a stop for breakfast is not spontaneous. Like that's like a planned thing. Like we're gonna stop for breakfast. Like where you choose to eat can kind of be a little random.
I know, because like hobbits have like fourth breakfast, fifth breakfast.
Now I got a question for y'all. When you're going on a road trip, you have a destination picked out. Do you take time and maybe take the long way a little bit and stop along the way and make the trip itself like you're supposed to, part of the experience? Or do you like drive straight through, stop for gas and maybe to pee, and that's it, and just get there so that you have more time to spend at your destination?
Wow, we're getting into definitions now.
Well, I think both are road trips. So it's not like we're trying to define what a road trip is anymore. But like, it depends on what's on the way. Like, is there shit to see along the way? Or is it like, we just want to stop every hour and a half in the desert to look at the sand.
Look at the sand.
It's so coarse and it gets everywhere.
Oh my God, and he hates it. When we first went to New York, we drove and we stopped in DC for like 6 hours just because we were on our way. And we were like, oh, I wouldn't mind going and seeing like, the museums and stuff over here. So, I mean, I guess that's about the only time I've ever stopped though, because I generally am not a huge fan of the whole driving aspect of travel. I want to get there
Yeah.
and done with it. That's why when we went last time we flew. So,
Yeah, that annoys me, man. I like taking too much time on the road and stopping.
well, I'm
Most
sorry
people
to
don't do
annoy
that,
you.
though.
Damn.
Well, no, not that you not your
No.
preference doesn't annoy me, but traveling with somebody who has a different idea of what a road trip is can be annoying.
Now, let's say we're going down like somewhere. If we had a destination, of course, and we had a relatively long amount of time, like as opposed to having like working stiff with a week off. So if we have like a really long amount of time and there's a sign that pops up of something really cool, yeah, I'd probably stop. But yeah, for the most part, I want to get the hell out of the car as quickly as I can.
I'm like an over researcher though, so I have already found all the places that we're gonna stop along the way. So I don't need a sign to tell me. If there's a sign that pops up of something cool, like I'm gonna Google it and research it,
But it's not
before
on
we
your list.
stop. Yeah, it's on my list. Like, how the hell did I miss this? I'm gonna stop and research it and see if it's a place worth stopping. Because usually when that happens, it's not a place worth stopping.
If
Like,
if you saw a sign for like foam hinge or something, you know about foam hinge?
it's like
What is
Stonehenge, but made out of
Stonehenge?
foam.
Yeah, it's big styrofoam
Where is that?
recreation of Stonehenge.
Where?
Where? I have to look it up.
It's got to be in the U.S. There's no.
It's the U.S. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's
Question.
Foamhinge. It's a road trip destination.
If
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to the second Walmart and it's a planned trip, so therefore it's not a road trip, but I get lost and I stop to go pee and I get some munchies, and then I finally make it to that destination, would that be classified as a road trip?
If you got lost driving to Walmart and stopped to pee and ended up with the munchies, you got high before you were driving to go to Walmart, so that's what happened. It's not a road trip. That's just a drug trip.
So that's Foamhinge.
Okay, I hate to say that I'm mildly impressed by the way it looks.
I am.
But I hate the fact that they brought one of the coolest Neolithic structures ever created and made it out of foam.
Yeah.
That
So
is cool.
that's the kind of thing that I would see and be like, what is Foamhinge? And then I would see this, and this is literally all it is.
You
That's
and
it.
Lydia
It
are
looks
the
like
ones
it's
that
to
saw-
scale. It looks to scale. And
I
everything.
think it is. You and Lydia are the ones that saw Goat Whore, right? Just because of the
We
name.
did. We were in
Right.
DC. I was donating bone marrow to some dude in the UK, and we didn't know what to do, and so we were like, I don't know. There's this band called Goat Whore. You want to go see Goat Whore? And apparently, it's like they got a long legacy in the metal scene or something.
I know that family.
The Goat Whores.
Goat
No,
Whore
no,
for that family.
Just kidding.
Yeah, that was
side
another.
note,
Goat
Goat
another
Whore has some of
random
the
thing.
best album titles I've ever heard. Just for the record.
They were. I mean, it was one of the. If we were on a road, we weren't on a road trip. We were on a foot trip because we walked, but it was a spontaneous thing. Let's check that out. And I didn't know what I was in for, man. Like, I didn't bring my earplugs, which was a mistake. I didn't like. I should have probably brought a dust mask because it was like they were dusting the rafters, like all the old dirt that from the ceiling because it was shaking from the music, if you want to call it that.
It's not
It
a
was
metal
like
show
power,
if you don't
it was
get
like
some kind of
amplified
disease.
power tools, dude.
Oh, it's
And
awful.
when they came out in the beginning, the dude was like, "Are you ready to be fucked by Satan?" And I was like, I looked at Lydia. I was like, I'm not ready for that. Are you ready for that? I don't know if I'm ready for that. And but we stayed for the show, and it was a show. Yeah, it was.
That's one of my favorite stories that she has. She told me that, and we looked up Goat Whore and found out that they have like 5 or 6 vinyl albums that you can buy. And I've considered it a couple of times just to have one.
And that's the kind of thing that I like about road trips. Like we were in Oregon and in an electric car with my friend Albert, who knows John, and we were on a road trip with him. And it was like we had to stop and recharge the electric car in a place we never would have stopped if we didn't have to. It was a small town, but we had to stop for like an hour, plug in, recharge the car. So we're walking around town and stuff, and we ended up in this like industrial area, but it was on a river, and then there was this cool little old pub and restaurant that I would have never discovered without like randomly walking around on this road trip if we hadn't been stopping to recharge the car, kind of thing. But yeah, just discovering stuff like Foam Hinge, that cool little pub, Goat Whore. You know, that's what I like about road trips. Yeah, the planned out stuff like John does, that's awesome. My wife does that too. She's very details oriented. Like, we're going to go here, and then we're going to leave at this time and go there, and we're going to have lunch at this place, and then we're going to end up there. And it's very nice to have someone that plans like that. But I do love the unexpected stuff, and I'm always down to stop and see something maybe insignificant, maybe meh. Maybe you go an hour and a half out of your way to see foam blocks in the grass. But
now that I've actually seen it, I kind of am intrigued by Foam Hinge.
I want to go. I'm going to put it on my list.
It looks to scale, so now I'm curious.
So
also,
that's my
you
preference.
Don't touch, it could fall over.
Oh, if you touch it, it'll just crumble. I saw. I agree with the whole when you're walking around though, and you just kind of wander into random places. That's different. If I'm on foot somewhere, I'll stumble into anywhere that I can that looks like it's unlocked. Usually it's not good. That's how I accidentally found the cool Harry Potter exhibit when we were in New York last.
All right, I'll make sure that goes on your headstone, man. Like,
I found a door that was unlocked.
Yeah, he went into his last unlocked door randomly.
I came this close to leaving with a damn Hufflepuff house robe when we were there.
Wait,
So
you went to
my wife
Harry
loves
Potter
road
exhibit?
trips.
Yeah, we were walking around downtown and we saw a sign that just said Butterbeer and the door had like a big Hogwarts H on it. So we opened it and it's this huge, like, it's got movie props in it. You can buy like wands and shit. It's wild.
It wasn't are you talking about the new Harry Potter store by the Flatiron Building?
I don't know.
There's a giant Harry Potter store that you can buy.
It was
Butterbeer
huge,
at.
but
Yeah.
it was like the door that we went in through was like a stealthy door. It was cool. I feel as though we probably went on a side entrance.
Maybe you went through the back door on accident.
Yeah.
Do the
Well,
employee only entrance?
No, it just led into the main area. So you know what? Now that I think about it, they probably have multiple entrances, and some of them are like harder to find. That would be more. That would make sense.
You'll have to tell me what their like cross streets were, because when you say downtown New York, the fucking that's
Dude,
just
I have no
that's
idea.
Just, that's just 56th Street.
Man, I was
like,
just
that's
wandering
not-
around. We were wandering around Manhattan, and I saw a big Hogwarts H, and was like, "That's for me."
That's cool. Well, I'm curious if it was a pop up, because like
I don't know.
the doors
It did
there,
not look like a pop up. It was like a built area.
Oh, there were like people and like
yeah.
it
Well, I
looked
mean,
like
there
a
were
retail
definitely
store.
people. It's New York.
Well, like it looked like it was like a retail
It
experience.
was in a
Okay.
building.
I know the one you're talking about. It does not look that stealthy whatsoever. But that's
The door I went in was stealthy. You ass.
all right. I feel like you just didn't notice it. You were just stoned, and then you looked.
I was
around.
not. I hadn't found any drugs yet.
You
Never
walk a
even left
block,
your
and
house.
I didn't know until my last few hours there that it was legal.
every fucking block there's a weed store in New York.
See, I realized that, and then all of them had the little CBD bullshit on the bottom, so I assumed it was that situation.
Nah, they
I thought it was a diet weed store.
A
diet
diet
weed.
weed store.
I did love the little tidbit that Juicy J shared. I just love the ending of his story a lot there. The longest road trip or whatever.
Let's see. We got Juicy J. I want to read it because I didn't. Oh, this is the definition of a road store. A road trip.
Yeah, you gotta go to the next three.
He brings up a legitimate definition.
The world's
Good job,
first recorded
Juicy J.
long distance
Shout out
road
to
trip
Juicy J for this.
Yeah.
by automobile took place in Germany in '88 with the Benz. The wife of Carl Benz, the inventor of the first patented motor car. Is that true? Benz was the first one. It wasn't Mr. Ford.
No.
He just did like the industrial line shit for
Okay. So the Benz patent motorwagen traveled from Mannheim to Pforzheim, 106 kilometers or 66 miles, because we're on episode 66. It makes it related.
Nice.
In the third experimental Benz motor car, which had a maximum speed of 10 miles per hour.
Okay.
I bought an electric bicycle.
They had to stop to go pee.
My electric bike goes 25 if I wanted to.
All right, so you gotta let me read the next one. 16 kilometers back and back, and her 2 teenage sons, Richard and Eugene, but without the consent and knowledge of her husband. She stole her fucking
stole
kids.
the car. She went on a joyride.
This was the first instance of somebody taking the kids and leaving.
Yes.
She
Yes.
stole the car too. Like,
I just got the warning on my phone. It went beep, beep.
That's fantastic. She got the kids and left.
Yeah,
this is where I keep my
Called it a
car.
road trip.
She's like, I'm gonna. Not only am I gonna leave you right now, I'm also gonna put it in the history books so that it's a reminder that I took your car and the kids and I left.
Wow, what a woman.
Yeah,
That's
I'm taking the
bad.
car and the kids, and we're going to grandma's house. Get the fuck out of here! Like
That's
that's
funny.
what happened. Like,
That's a road trip. Yeah, no offense, but we all should have done our homework. We should have known this story ahead of time, and I wouldn't have had to ask all of these definition questions of what a road trip was.
I think
Yeah.
it's more fun to speculate and then get the chat involved, giving us the definition
Yeah.
of the thing. We're all sitting at a computer. We could all easily alt tab.
We all have the Hitchhiker's Guide right there in front of us. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Good
Lisa
job.
thinks the 4 of us should go on a road trip. That would be a hoot and a holler.
That'd be
That-
fun.
I gotta pee.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I feel like it's a weird thing to say, but I would love to be like a big enough deal that I get asked to be like on like conventions and shit. And that's why I'm just like, I'm trying to just do everything, you know? I don't know shit about blockchain, but I'll be here and I'll talk about it.
Just in case something
Just so we can
just
do
in
a
case
panel.
something happens there. Let's be there.
Yeah.
I could just see the 4 of us in a car, and I'm the one that's going, "Hey, a Walmart."
Can we all go to like the next blockchain thing in Miami? And
Yeah, we
just
can try
do
to buy that,
a coffee with Den episode pop up.
We can try to
somewhere.
buy the NFT toilet.
Oh, yeah,
We could-
NFT, right?
Miami's crazy, man. You could during that like 2 or 3 week period, almost every local business is down to host some sort of like crypto meetup kind of thing. Because I remember going around when I was down there a couple of times. I went a couple of like years in a row, and I'd go out in the morning for breakfast, and it was hard to find a place to get breakfast that wasn't already hosting like a big crypto meetup breakfast
Yeah.
for like people to, I don't know, meet each other and talk about projects together. I don't know, be there, one
Yeah,
big happy dysfunctional family.
How do
So
we
we could probably set something up.
That should be our goal. That should be our goal, I feel, is to have like a big thing at one of these events. Maybe not even Miami. I don't give a shit which one. But like, I would love to do an episode of Coffee with Dan or like host an episode of World Blockchain Roundtable at one of these shits. Like, that'd be so fun.
Live, that would be so with a
Yeah.
group of people around. That would be a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa was down there too. I missed her. We didn't cross paths whenever it was, the year that I went. But yeah, she's familiar with the same thing. I got stuck.
There, we have to make sure to meet up with her.
It wasn't a road trip. I flew, and I got stuck on the way back. I had to sleep on the terminal floor because there were no hotels left in the area, and they canceled the flight until the next day. And they literally came across the PA and blamed Bitcoin to all the passengers in the airport. They were like, "Yeah, the flight's delayed until tomorrow. Unfortunately, we can't really put you up anywhere because Bitcoiners are here this week and the Bitcoin conference and yada yada." And people were so pissed. We don't give a shit about Bitcoin. I got 3 kids. They're hungry. What are we supposed to do? Yada yada.
Oh,
It was
God.
hell.
What
So
a
I slept
bad
on the
place for you.
I slept on the funky carpet floor in the terminal. They gave me $12 for food, but everything was already closed at this point. It was at nighttime, so I couldn't spend the $12 anywhere. It was a voucher that didn't work.
My mind would have been completely different if I'm sitting in that, airport and I hear that and I really don't know about Bitcoin. Should I invest or not invest? I hear, wow, it is so packed and full. They're canceling flights. This must be big. I'm going to buy me some.
Yeah, that's probably how I would look at it. I also cannot believe that you ended up stuck in an airport terminal with people that were just angry about cryptocurrency.
I didn't say
as
shit.
You. Like, I couldn't.
I did not open my mouth. I was like, that's not why I was here. I'm not here for that. I'm not part of the problem.
Was Tina with you? Oh, Tina was.
I was alone.
I was gonna say there's no way
No.
Tina went to that.
No, she's not going to go
If
to.
Tina had been there,
Tina's
she'd
not
have
going
been
to go to a
like, "Hey, shut
Bitcoin
up."
conference with me. Are you kidding me?
I thought about it after I said it. I'd be like, actually, Jackie would probably go with us just because she's bored.
I think I think it'd be so fun. We should go.
So what we could do is, and this is, I got a really quick short story on this one. I did, I'm pretty sure. So Juicy J and Hyro had me talk to a group they were meeting up with, or maybe it was a Crypto Socios event. And I feel kind of bad because like I took way longer. Basically, I did a little demo of Den in a slideshow, like a pitch, not a pitch deck, but just like a demo of Den. And I didn't realize that, like, so I was like, okay, it'll be about this much time. I took way longer, like I always do. But I didn't realize that the whole time that they had just set up in a coffee shop with a projector, and that the owners were like, all right, you guys got to get out of here. You can't just do that. I feel like that's how it happened. So at the at the end of it, he was like, hey, we're getting the boot. Anyway, Juicy J, that was a good time.
I see. Like, I would totally like. I don't know. I wouldn't want to fly all the way to Miami just to like set up in a coffee shop and talk to nobody. Like, I'd want like a crowd. Like, even if they don't know who the fuck we are, like somebody that has to sit there and engage, and then for at least a little bit. And then like if they leave, it's my fault, not their fault. You know.
We can find a crowd.
I don't know. We'll see.
I
intend to like pay
we're
for
probably
one
good at
big ass
finding
Airbnb.
crowds.
Be cool.
Also,
I
at
don't
least
know.
getting kicked out of a coffee shop while you're on a projector screen is, oh my god,
Yeah, they had a DJ too.
it's like the damn snake coming.
You're
through
bringing them customers. They're probably going to buy coffee while they're there, right?
I still will never get over the snake.
It was cool though. I had good
Sliding.
questions. There were people genuinely interested. It was actually, I would totally do that again, especially if I'm not the one who has to be there dealing with the coffee shop telling me that I shouldn't be holding my conference calls in their lobby or whatever it is with a DJ. I just felt like, oh, it must be that's how they do it in New York, right?
Yeah.
Wait, they hadn't cleared it with the coffee shop people first?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right. Well, that clears up some confusion there.
Maybe they did, but there was a miscommunication, I believe.
Yeah, we can just go to 42nd Street and
Genuinely stand on a soapbox.
start talking to people. We'll just fit in. That's the problem, is we won't stand out at all. Yeah.
So one thing or comment about road trips. My wife loves road trips. Now, me personally, I'd rather fly to the destination, have more time at the destination, because I've kind of driven and seen most of the U.S., right? Not all, but most of the states. But anyway, so she says we should do a road trip to California with 2 teenage boys, and I'm thinking,
Nope.
no, it'll be great. It'll be great. Well, her concept of a road trip is let's get in the car and go. So we did 3,700 miles in 8 days, some crazy number, Texas to California back. And we did, we drove in 2 days. The first day we got all the way to Mesa, Arizona. And the second day we got all the way to Monterey to spend the night in Monterey.
That is a grind.
It was a grind. And that was her enjoyment of a road trip is, I mean, it was fun. It was fun, but I'd already been down those roads, it's just.
Who was driving?
Mostly me.
I
Very
veto
end
all
of
this.
it on the way back, I was like, I'm tired.
I veto all of this idea, because if she gets the enjoyment of like sitting in a car and going there, she's got to drive. Like that does not sound.
She drove
fun.
the last 100 miles,
Yeah.
and then I took the last. I should say on the second to last 100 miles, I took the last 100 miles.
I love. I don't know if I love. I don't know if love is the right word, but I enjoy going on trips with like friends in the car, I guess, if I'm not driving. One time I have this joke with Jose, and the only time I've ever been on tour with a band, we drove from Gainesville to Savannah and back in one night, and I jokingly call that going on tour, and it was so much fun. Somebody else drove. We sat in the back of the car, passed around a bottle of vodka, and like joked around.
It's a different experience. Yeah.
We got to the parking lot in Savannah. We all got out and took a piss in the parking lot. and then went and saw a ska show for like 4 hours, and then somebody else drove home while I was asleep. Like, it was amazing.
Perfect.
But I don't want to drive. Like, if we're gonna go, if we
Yeah,
gotta go
that's what I
drive
was gonna
somewhere-
say. Is this is where AI is gonna change the game, man? Self-driving cars all the way.
Yeah.
Self-driving car on a road trip.
I want
So,
a Tesla
yeah, and
just for
drinking
that.
and driving is a thing of the past because the
Yes.
AI is not going to drink.
Now you can drink all you want while you're in a car.
Exactly.
They
Now, let
pulled
me
some.
say this. On this
Yeah.
road trip, I would say probably by like within hour one from the start, day one, everyone had plugged in headphones and was listening to something different.
So you're on your
Two
own.
Teenagers in the back are listening to music or whatever. My wife is listening to a book online, and I'm listening to some kind of documentary podcast. And
Yeah.
we're all like, "Hey, this is cool,"
Yeah.
But we're all plugged into something different.
So you're not on a road trip together at that
On the road
point.
trip.
My brother and I, we had a minivan growing up, and we would put the middle seat down flat. You just fold it down flat, and then we'd bring one of those TVs with the VHS in it.
Yeah.
We'd put that in the middle of the car, and then bring the PlayStation, and we'd play video games the entire time.
See,
That's like standard today.
And then, but even to go from Gainesville to Ocala, which is 45 minutes,
You'd bring the TV,
we
bring
would
the console.
the TV and console.
get the PS2.
Yeah, it was the best. We'd have like blankets and pillows in the back from when we had to come home after the basketball game at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night.
That does sound like an adventure. That sounds like you just made your own party bus, though. Basically, is what happened.
Yeah, and my
Maybe.
parents just had to listen to us play video games. It was great.
Do you ever go anywhere on a party bus?
Yeah,
That's a whole different road trip.
I did that in California when we did like the wine country tour thing.
Oh,
We
dude,
went to all
that
these
sounds great.
wineries. We had a party bus take us around. It was cool because he'd run errands for us while we were at the winery. So he'd be like, "Oh, we need like a PPI. We need we're getting acid reflux." He'd go and buy us
The driver would. You just go.
Yeah,
go
the
on
driver would
trips.
go
Yeah.
and pick up I think he got one girl tampons.
Oh, what a
uh,
trooper!
Yeah,
Just making sure you have a good trip. Yeah.
We gave him a fat tip. This was with a bunch of physicians. They
I hope so.
They
Yeah.
tipped him out a lot. And it was fun because then we're just we buy the wine at the vineyard, get in the bus and drink the wine. After you got and the way the vineyards work, it's like $10 for a tasting. But you taste as long as you're there.
Yeah, you just taste some stuff the whole time. Yeah.
So essentially it's $10 all you can drink.
And
the
then
way
you
they
buy
get-
bottles on the way out.
Yeah, and then they get you to sign up for their wine club. But then, if you sign up for the wine club, the tastings are free, and the wine club is like $20 a month. But then you can cancel after the first month.
So you got a 1-day membership
Yeah,
or a one
so
or whatever.
that's basically what everybody would get a membership at a different place because your party would drink for free if you signed up.
Oh, you guys really
guys-
planned. Yeah.
I did
guys-
not.
This is like
They
game
robbed the
theory.
winery.
I didn't know this
Game,
planning.
winery game theory.
It was great. Of course, I can now not drink wine without instantly getting a headache because of it. That week was a rough week.
I like
You went ahead and got wine over with for yourself.
Yeah,
Went ahead and did wine thoroughly, and like, all right,
I
I'm
can't
done
do vodka
forever.
because of that.
yeah. Never complained again.
Uh,
It's question or do you?
did you wear that shirt on purpose, Dave? Because it's pretty apropos for today.
Just listening. The I'm all ears thing.
The
Are you
shirt.
talking about for
Your
Mando?
shirt, yeah.
So I didn't actually know Mando had a new episode out. I knew they were making a new season of it. I don't have Disney Plus anymore. I canceled it after I watched all the things. So I gotta subscribe to it again, watch all the things I have not seen, and then cancel it again.
No,
So I haven't seen it.
They
Are
don't
you
give
gonna-
Disney any money. Just find it somewhere online.
yeah, you just go stream it somewhere.
Yeah, pirate
Steal
it.
somebody else's account.
It's out there.
Literally pirate it.
Ask Albert for his account info. He's a nice
That's-
guy.
That's what I was setting up. Actually, was an in-house self-hosted. Instead of having like a Netflix app on your TV, I have this thing called Jellyfin now. I just have to load it with my own movie and music collection, but
That's
it's cool. Yeah. It even takes accounts where like me and my wife can have different accounts, and then it can pick up where you left off and continue watching this or that. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I just have to source my own media files.
That's
all.
so cool.
I used to think that was something that I wanted to do, but then like I remember setting it up a while back when like when I still had like a PlayStation 3 as like a game system that mattered.
Yeah.
And you could set up this like XMB server thing on your computer and have it set up.
Kind of like that. Yeah, kind of like that.
And then I immediately went back to I had it for like a week and was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to use it so much. And then I just went back to running the media file off my
This one's really cool because like it's got an app on iPhone and Android. It's got everything's a web interface. So any computer, or if your TV doesn't have the app, but it has a web browser built in, on your smart TV, you can use that. And it also, like, if you have, let's say I have a DVD collection that I have made backups of. So I have all these all these like MP4 files that I've ripped. I can put in the IMDb code, like from the URL for that movie entry, and it fills in all the metadata, pulls in the album artwork and all that stuff. And it'll even tell you, like, if you're looking at a film or something, it'll tell you other movies that you have in your library that have the same actors in it. So it's got some interesting stuff. It's got some cool, and it's all free open source stuff. So it's pretty neat. It's neat stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
what's that called? The 7 degrees of separation, or what's it? 6 degrees of separation?
The Kevin Bacon thing?
Yeah.
Oh God.
7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
This jellyfin.
Yeah, jellyfin.
This jellyfin sounds a lot like Groove Shark, but for video. If you could like share video in open source.
Yes. Except Groove Shark, the difference is Groove Shark facilitated sourcing all of the files for you. You could it was like Napster or something. You could, or Kazaa or whatever.
Well, like Groove Shark got in a lot of trouble because like they provided so much of the music.
Yes, that was the issue. That was the issue because they were like, we got to compete. We got to have a music library. Just go get music. I don't care where it comes from. Just get it. We'll figure it out later with legal. And they didn't figure it out later with legal. So that's how I understand it. There's a bunch of shit that went down, but that was I loved Groove Shark, man. That was a cool thing.
Going on a road trip for lunch, I would eat before I start the road trip. Just an idea, because you're going to be hungry. So yeah, have fun.
See you, Lisa. So how about this, man? We're at an hour. What do you say we grab some coffee and talk about what's in the comment section, the replies on the post and stuff like that?
Sounds good. Okay, I got my coffee. I'm ready.
I got one vote.
Oh, there's a Walmart.
Where's my video that I made?
I was just looking to see if it's in there. I don't know if I have it uploaded, so I'm just going to play.
Which video?
There was one that you made that was like, it's time for John to take over the show or something, right?
I think it was called While Dave's Away.
While Dave's Away. You want to do While Dave's Away? I bet I could find it.
If you find it, that's just funny as hell. I just want to see the video.
I bet I have it like right here somewhere. So let's.
I'm looking at my stuff too.
No, maybe I don't. I don't want to spend too much time looking at it for it.
Yeah,
but
I want to get coffee anyway. I don't care.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I don't have Dave's Away. So I will do something relevant. Since we're talking about evaluators in a minute, we'll do the roles of a denizen.
We'll be right back.
And we'll be right back.
Roles of a denizen. A content creator is a user that creates posts and is rewarded based on the quality of their content. A content evaluator is a user that helps assess the quality of content and enforces community standards. The evaluator is effectively taking part in a marketplace to curate content and is rewarded for early evaluation. A content consumer is a user that wishes to find and consume the most valuable content in a given subject area or within a community. A lair owner is a person holding tokenized ownership of all or part of a community lair. Owners are rewarded with a portion of all mining activity happening within their lair. Owners are incentivized to build the best community of content creators and evaluators.
What's up? Welcome back. So, roles of a denizen. First of all, thanks for listening to all that banter a minute ago. The first bit of the show, I think we were stumbling over ourselves a lot. My fault. I was trying to get sidebarred too early. But that was cool. That was a cool little. I'm glad John strong armed us back into staying on topic for a little while. We should do that more often. But while we're waiting on them, I got coffee a lot faster than they did. I want to talk about the evaluator role on Den. So we've got the video we just played, the roles of the denizen. There's content creators, there's people who evaluate the content, there's people who just lurk and read and they don't do anything. That's a role. There's basically, arguably you could say there's a role of the advertiser or the people that have referral links and stuff that they share. There's a whole bunch of different reward pools, the way that it's broken down. And overall, everybody on Den is competing basically for the same 1,000 matter pot that is rewarded every day. And so that's sliced up into a bunch of different rewards pools. And one of those pools is the role of the evaluator. So you can earn matter, you can earn from evaluating other people's content. Now, making a leaderboard for these different roles to rank people it ended up being kind of hard because it's sort of subjective, and I'm trying to basically come up with an objective mathematical equation that takes subjective data into account. What do I mean by that? So when you're voting on Den with everybody else on a piece of content, this is something that you probably see talked about a lot on Den because a lot of people will look and see they got downvoted or they got upvoted, or some people earned more or less, and it's a point of debate a lot. But basically, whenever you're voting, you're trying to reach consensus on a piece of content, and the algorithm that pays out rewards, it takes a lot of stuff into account. But basically, in the role of an evaluator, we want people to vote both up and down on stuff, right? A down vote isn't necessarily negative, like emotionally, like on Reddit or something. It's something that is needed to sort of we need to be able to create a competitive marketplace for content, that kind of thing. And so let me bring John up. We'll talk about how we did scoring on this. What's up? Welcome back.
What up?
So with the leaderboard, this is almost done. I think it's pretty close to the way the final one's going to be done. But I've got two of them that I posted in here. One is the last 30 days. One is the last year. And the first thing that I want to say is that in the last month or so, we have implemented a new evaluator reputation system that was voted in by Den.social. We actually had to stop working on new features to take care of some stuff that, we ended up getting some bots and we ended up getting some manipulation going on and stuff like that. So we're like, all right, we got to improve how Den works. And one of those things was basically making evaluators work a little bit harder and be more thoughtful on how they evaluated content. And you can see the difference in, here's the past 30 days. You've got people that you generally have seen around. Not everyone has to post on Den. That's not a requirement at all. But a lot of these names are familiar. You know who they are from around Den if you've been on Den for a while. And then when you look at the ones from the past year, it's a little bit of a different story. This is before we had the evaluator reputation put in. And there's a lot of throwaway accounts. There's a lot of accounts that I'm not saying that they were bots or puppets. I'm just saying that I don't know where they're coming from or why they rank so highly. So once we went through and added things like needing people to make balanced judgment calls, up and down votes, stuff like that, we started getting more meaningful results, I think. So let's bring IM back up. So I was just saying there's a distinct difference between the past 30 days and the past year because we have a new evaluator reputation system that gives people rep, you know? And so this scoring number on the right, that doesn't mean anything outside of the context of this particular leaderboard, right? So I'm not, all of these leaderboards that I do, I'm not going to show like anything that's like I'm not gonna show people's private information, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I can show on a percentage basis how people are ranked without showing the actual scoring. And that's what I did here with the evaluators. I'm not going to publish how many times you voted up, how many times you voted down, how many times you were in consensus or versus against consensus and stuff like that.
What does the score represent then?
So the score represents all of that I'm not willing to show because of privacy reasons.
Yeah.
But that's being done under the hood, and you come out with a number that is computed based on that data. So that's just a numerical system to rank it based on that criteria. Here's what it takes into account. Things like up and down ratio balance, how many times you voted up versus how many times you voted down. If you were in on some of the Den.social conversations, whenever we pivoted to improving the evaluation system, that was one of the things, was this balance, this idea of balancing, needing people to both vote up and, good Lord, is that right next to the microphone? All right, getting people to vote both up and down on content. So that in itself is in the algorithm or in the equation. It also takes into the account how many times you voted with consensus. In other words, how many times you were correct. Think about if it's a content marketplace and we are ranking and voting on stuff based on consensus, then you can think about the idea of your vote being right or wrong. When you vote stuff up or vote stuff down, you can, after everyone does it, you can say, okay, who voted with consensus and who voted against it? And you can say, okay, the people that voted with consensus, they won. They were correct. Whether it was up or down. If it was down votes and negative energy or up votes and positive energy, you win by being right. You're trying to predict what other people in that particular layer are going to want to see and read, and that's how you should be voting. So it takes that into account, how many times you voted with consensus. And it also takes into account the ratio, similar to your up and down votes, how many times you voted up or down. So it takes the raw number of times you voted up and down, but it also takes into account your ratio of in consensus to against consensus votes, meaning after it's all tallied up, were you correct? Was your insight or your predictive ability, are you good at your job? Are you good at being an evaluator, right? That kind of thing. So you get a score with that, and then all of that gets rolled into this ultimate score at the end, where you sort of kind of multiply these things all together is what you end up doing. And that gives you a score. So there might be some more tweaks still, but this is pretty close to like working the way that it should work. I can tell you that Robin should be at the top of this. Robin doesn't evaluate as often as, for example, Jacob Wayne or Y'all Weird. Or in, like, honestly, like a lot of these, maybe a quarter as much. But I was pretty impressed, both the positive and negative in consensus. So the accuracy, right? I don't have a score for accuracy on here, but that's part of what's in the overall score. But I just remember going through this, trying to figure out how to represent a meaningful leaderboard of like the top evaluators, the most useful, valuable evaluators. And like by a huge margin, for whatever reason, this denizen that doesn't really post a whole lot on Den. I have seen them around. They've got a very accurate evaluation record, and it's also very balanced. I was impressed. So kudos, whoever you are, to Robin, because you're very balanced in your evaluation and you're very accurate. Like your predictive ability to know how consensus is going to go on a piece of content. I don't know. It's awesome. So more of that. So there's top 20. And like I said, the numbers are just to give a ranking, but you can look at the numbers and see like how much higher somebody was scored over somebody else. That's the most detail you can really get out of it. And then at the bottom, even though it's 4 versus 400, it's just 4 because it's like among the top 20. Here's your score. I just don't want anybody to feel like, oh man, how are these people doing so much better? They're not doing that much better. They're doing relatively better, in the top 20. Now, if you look at the last year, it's completely different denizen accounts, right? If you look at the last year, this is taking into account data from before we had that Den.social decision to work on how the evaluation role is handled, to work on how that works, because we have in the past year we've had caveat or a disclaimer. I'm not saying any of these names on the screen are necessarily what I'm about to talk about, but I know that we've had issues with things like bots that are obviously not real people, or people that were collaborating to vote to manipulate consensus, where it was pretty obvious what was going on based on the patterns and the behavior and stuff like that. And so when you run the same, these two leaderboards are using the same exact algorithm to score people. The only difference is I changed it from 30 days to 365 days worth of data the past year. So that tells me that it was actually a meaningful change, because we did see, for example, Nguma is in both lists, right? So Nguma was doing good then, and Nguma is doing good now as far as evaluation goes. And so that denizen stayed on the list. A lot of these, though, dropped off because they were either always voting in one direction. They never voted against content, or they only voted on like maybe like a few people's content, and they weren't even correct, half the time. They were just trying to weigh in on consensus to get or learning how to use it is another option. I'm not trying to say everyone's intentionally, not following the guidelines or whatever. It could be they were just learning how to use it. But anyway, it wasn't a good signal. It was kind of like your signal to noise ratio wasn't great. That was the whole reason of doing that. But anyway, there's the leaderboard. I've got more stuff I want to publish. I'll put it in the Den layer. This will be one of them. I can update the lot, the lot rankings, right? The different layers and stuff based on how much energy is spent in it, or how much. What do I have? I have stuff like what's working. Some stuff isn't working yet. I've got new accounts. I can update that. New posts, stuff like that from the last time, and I can do that. Every week probably, or at least twice a month, until we get our proper leaderboard up where everybody can check it out. So anyway, there's the long explanation of how that is ranked and works and stuff. What do y'all think about it? What do y'all think about it?
I know what Robin Class does for a living. Jury selection.
Jury selection.
But like only virtual jury selections, and that's it.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I think it was cool. That was a very long explanation. I
was trying to get IM. I know IM for IM has done some stuff on metrics and data and stuff, and one of the reasons I was long-winded was because I wanted him to understand it so that you could maybe comment on it.
It's impressive. It's kind of funny because downvoting goes against the grain for me personally, and but it's required. I
Yeah.
get that. I totally get that. It's and to be honest, if you're kind of contrarian by nature, you're not going to do well at this. Is kind of my gut is what is telling me. If you're every with the flow with everybody else, then maybe you would upvote what everyone else likes and you would downvote what everyone doesn't like. And if you're just contrarian by nature, you're probably going to not do well as an evaluator, I would think. I'm thinking out loud here, but the I what I'm really impressed is that you were able to do this and come up with some kind of score um, that was able to maintain, that um, the private and confidential. Now the next question is,
Yeah.
how is this? Is this automated at this point?
Nope. Not at this point. So
That's
what
right.
I have now is modular different things that I can run against Den's data on the ledger in the database. And what those will do is end up being my words aren't working this morning. Those will be automated. So basically the step before automation is getting them working manually where I can run them, get useful data. Okay, this works, change it, that kind of thing. And then the leaderboard, the plan for that is to use the same thing that I'm manually doing right now, but update them every day so that the leaderboard can get the latest numbers after payouts go out. Every day there's an automated thing that happens where it's like, okay, here's the end of the period. We're going to calculate everyone's energy and consensus and all that. We're also going to update all of these different leaderboards, and then that'll be on the leaderboard page. So it's not automated yet. No.
Yeah, we're going to definitely need to move in that direction fairly quickly so that it can be automated on the leaderboard.
Yeah,
all the elements that are listed on the leaderboard.
I've got one. I do have one that's in testing and internal, like with charts and pretty graphs and stuff like that. And that one's cool because you can actually change the there's like a selection tool where you can change the time frame that you're looking at, and then the data will update for you. But yeah, all the automation stuff is what's going to be worked on last. And because of that, I'm going to take what's working manually and just update it, do a post that updates it like every week or every 2 weeks until we have that out.
How would you, let's see if I can word this correctly. How would you differentiate what people will like versus what people will, what content is not?
That's the trick, right?
Quality, shall we say.
Yeah, that's the trick.
I think it would be easy to point out the items that are not quality, but it's more different. It's, again, speaking to someone, if you're contrarian to everyone, to society, if everyone votes red or votes blue and you vote the other way, you're kind of contrarian, and you're a unique breed. So I'm wondering how that would work for those individuals.
Well,
I mean, Den's got talent, right? But maybe this isn't one of your talents, is picking out, evaluating.
It's a really good question. And I would say with that, you have to probably change the way you're thinking about it. And I'll use Reddit as an example, because I'm trying. A lot of us that are involved with Den were previously Redditors or other platforms that we ended up getting sort of sick of for different reasons. And one of those things is the idea of downvoting because you don't like it, or you don't agree with it, or you don't think that should be the thing, right? And instead of that, with Den, you should be thinking about it in terms of, is this good for the conversation? Is this something that even if it's flat out wrong, right? Is this something that people should discuss? Is this something that is like hey, this is a topic that could use more debate and more conversation. Is this reply adding to the conversation, or is it not really? Is it a meaningless post that doesn't, like, what do you want to do with this? You know, that kind of thing. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, with that in mind, thinking about when you're voting in a particular layer, think about that layer, that community as sort of in a vacuum, right?
Mhm.
And you're voting on stuff that really other stuff from today, right? What have I
It's
seen?
relevant to that layer is what you're trying to say, to make
Relevant,
sure that the
yeah.
content is relevant to that layer.
That, but also it's tricky because you also have to take into account what else has been posted today in this layer, right? And if someone's posted something that is on topic, but it's not very interesting, it might still get an upvote because, like, nothing less interesting has been posted. So in relation to other content, how are you evaluating this piece of content? Whether it's a post or reply or whatever, think about your role as an evaluator as the sorting hat, kind of saying, like, that's a bad example. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I shouldn't use
No,
references to things I'm not familiar with.
I get it.
But you're sorting stuff basically based on what's available in front of you. And if this is the best content that we've got today, that's the best content we've got today. Upvote it. We'll get more energy tomorrow. And then if it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe there's a different layer that has banging content in it. And somebody on the flip side, somebody posts actually interesting stuff, but there's just way more interesting, like their competition has outdone them. So as an evaluator, you have to say, man, you know what? This is great. Maybe you leave a note too. Like, hey, this is great, but I got to vote you down because this other post is where it's at, and that's where I'm going to put my energy.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you create an environment where everyone has to compete for better and better content, compete for more and more relevant or topical or timely. Maybe, you know, if you can be somebody that finds some information first that isn't anywhere else and you
Right.
post it, like stuff like that is how you drive a marketplace that will create the best content the soonest, and then obviously on topic for what that community wants.
And
So
evaluating is
yeah.
also being early,
it is. So if you're,
recognizing something
yep.
that's going to be good and popular on the site and upvoting it ahead of everybody else.
That's a really good point, and that's one that's not. I don't even think about that as much. And so, yeah, if you vote within the first hour that something is posted, and you're correct, in other words, you're in consensus, for the same amount of energy you put in, you're going to get more of a matter reward because you voted earlier on, right? Because we want people, it's related. Well, one, we want people to go ahead and vote and not, you know, like say, I'll get it later.
And that same applies when you're downvoting early.
It does. Yep. That's especially important, because if you downvote it early and you're correct, that's what sometimes things do need to be downvoted. Sometimes they're just not as good as other stuff, but sometimes you need to use that spam tag too, you know, or that abuse tag. And so that's rewarded. Also,
the spam tag or abuse tag is rewarded as well.
Yep, they are. All the
And
tagging
now,
is rewarded.
And these individuals that seem to be spamming or abusing that tag, and it gets reversed, are you, by reversing in the consensus of reversing the tag, does that also pay out as an evaluator?
It pays out, yeah. So the tags get treated in a very similar way as content itself, right? So if you're in consensus, if you're correct, if you accurately tag something, you do get rewarded for that.
So
and
that's
yeah, go
part
ahead.
of the scoring here. Got it.
So it's part of the scoring. Now that you mention it, I need to do more with tagging in this scoring, because this is part of the reason I wanted to talk about it today, because it's like almost there, like it's almost done. But now that you've brought that up, I need to go back in and look at how I'm looking at how I'm taking tagging into account for the scoring, because right now the only place that tagging is being used in this evaluator scoring is that I'm not counting stuff that is consensus abusive or consensus spam or wrong layer, for example, right? So if I'm looking at someone's track record on voting on content, there's a couple of spots where I say, okay, except for if it's legitimately like consensus, the tag for abuse and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I actually omit those posts from the scoring in certain cases.
Brilliant work, Dave. Brilliant work.
Because like,
Thank you.
if you follow someone around just to vote down on them, like if you go, there was a couple of people that had issues with that. One of them was Rockstar. One of them was Belmar. I think maybe another, where they're like, I don't know what's going on. No matter what I post, no matter where I post it, it's downvotes, downvotes, downvotes. And so it turns out there were a couple of people that were like targeting that person and following them around, like stalking them around Den just to downvote them. What you should do in that case is you should block that person so you don't have to see their content. Like if you think, oh, this is garbage, I don't want to see their content, you should just block them. You don't have to see your content. If it's something that is, all right, so what I was going to say is that behavior actually reduces your reputation as an evaluator if you're doing that. So what happens if there's,
or if you're
not if you're blocking, if you're
somebody.
if you're downvoting somebody everywhere all the time, no matter
person,
what,
yeah.
one person, the same person, different layers, stuff like that, that reduces your evaluator reputation, right? Which will reduce your scoring. But there are times when we want that behavior. If there's somebody who comes in and they're spamming all the layers, for example, we don't want to discourage people from following them around to make sure they're downvoted and stuff like that. So if that happens, something to keep in mind is you got to use that abuse tag or you got to use that spam tag, because that's a way of signaling to Den, hey, this is not just me downvoting somebody because it's not as good. This is literally something that we don't want on the platform at all.
Right.
So you use that stuff. That the tagging does, the 3 tags that will help your score, help signal to Den and get your score better are the abuse tag, the spam tag, the wrong layer tag. Also, wrong layer is not technically one of our smart tags, but I'm using it as such, so it probably will end up in that list.
I love the wrong layer tag.
Yeah, I got to make sure. I don't think it's in all the layers right now. For some reason, I saw a couple that it wasn't in there. So yeah, that's how it's scored, basically.
Good stuff.
In a nutshell.
Is John genuinely just zoned out playing a tiny guitar or a ukulele?
He is. Yes.
I was not zoned out. I was in the zone.
Yeah.
That being said, I was playing a board game as well. So
Yeah.
Well, that's how exciting numbers are.
Is it a game that you play when you're bored?
I was on a
or is it
road
game
trip.
you play before?
both technically. So side note, while I was stepped away there for a minute, did you notice the pile of boxes I walked by with?
Yeah.
This guy closed a store, I guess, like 12 years ago, and one of them is a brand new sealed in box Vista era HP, which is kind of neat. I kind of have the urge to like open it up and plug it in and see like the start
for the first time. Welcome to Windows Vista.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What would the value of it be 10 years
Nothing,
from now,
it's just
unopened?
It's probably nothing, unfortunately. The cool era of computers ended in like 99, I would say.
So there's no historical antique kind of thing that somewhere down the road, maybe if it was like under the bottom of a pyramid.
Yeah, if aliens put it there. Oh my God, why did you bring that up? Okay, hold on. I have to complain for a moment before I get dragged away.
Good.
Has anybody been to Netflix lately?
Yeah.
Anybody seen a lovely fucking show called Ancient Apocalypse?
Hell yeah, I love that show.
Please tell me you love it for its just absurdity, right?
I haven't seen it yet.
I think it's great. No, I think it's legitimately great.
Just so you know.
I don't care if it's wrong. Too many people are caught up on this.
No, they're not. See, here's the problem. It's not one of those like, oh, I don't care if it's wrong. He's intentionally spreading misinformation that's rooted in racist bullshit.
Okay, great. My point is that's not a problem because he's pointing out stuff that people have refused to test.
Okay,
and
that's my thing. It's like
you're
wrong. The
Am I?
things that yes, the things that he wants to test have been scientifically studied extensively. He is just an asshole. That's what he is. Graham Hancock is a guy who literally spends all of his career questioning things that have been tested, claiming that they've never been tested, and not telling anybody real facts. Okay?
Well, you're gonna have to show
you're not a
me
Graham
then.
Hancock. Is this the Graham
For
Hancock
instance,
show?
yes,
Yes, it
for
is.
Instance,
Oh, okay, I watched it.
For instance, the
enjoyed it.
Bimini Road
That
is
one's
a
bullshit.
geological
That's bullshit.
fucking feature. Okay.
Yeah, the Bimini
That-
Road's bullshit. Yeah.
That as
I
well
agree.
as there's an episode called Sirius Rising where he tries to claim that all these doorways are pointed at the star Sirius, which is horseshit. You know what's also that fucking direction? The sun. Okay, if you have a giant stone box and you want light in your big stone box, what do you point it towards?
Series.
The sun, goddammit! If it was a tiny hole this right pointed at the star Sirius, I'd buy it. Right? Here's my problem with people like that guy. He literally is taking the kind of evidence that has been debunked for years and claiming, oh, mainstream archaeologists say that this was done this way, but these primitive people could never have done this. Bullshit. No mainstream archaeologist on the planet thinks that,
No,
like,
that's not what he's saying.
Yeah,
That's not
it
what
is.
he's saying.
what is he saying?
If that's what you think is racist about what he's saying, that's
No,
not what he's saying.
I'm getting there. There.
Okay.
The entire root basis of those arguments boils down to archaeology that was arguably grave robbing in the 1800s to early 1920s. All of his theories go back to people that were genuinely eugenicists. Okay? That's why this is dangerous shit. When people put pseudoscience and pseudo-archaeology on places where actual people who might be impressionable can find them. Because
You gotta take
all-
a call so we can talk about you without you being able to respond.
Wow, did I just wind that up and pitch it in? And he
Yeah.
just
I don't. So I love that. Oh no, did
Oh, no.
Did he rage quit? I'm sorry.
He probably just accidentally hit X instead
Um,
of.
So
I knew
He-
it was going
he
to
could
get
be
him
a-
fired up. I'm sorry,
yeah,
guys.
that's
That was-
great. That's fine. He could be right. Maybe he is. I would need to see the debunking stuff. I would need to see, like, if you say that's my thing is, like, you can say, like, oh, it's all been debunked and it's all been proven otherwise. I haven't been able to, like, maybe I haven't taken the time to or what, but I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that study. I haven't seen that debunking effort. So
I enjoyed it.
I would have to go back and look
enjoyed
and see.
watching it. I take it with a grain of salt either way.
Yeah,
the
there's
Bimini thing is bullshit. I agree with that.
the
the
Bimini
very
thing is
first episode was-
interesting
Yeah,
in one very small way, which is that it's not a road, and it's probably not a man-made feature at all. It's probably geological. The only thing that's interesting about Bimini Road is that there is a map that shows it above sea level as on an island, and now it's below sea level. That happens. You know what I mean? That can be completely natural and geological. But it's interesting, at least, that it appears to show up as being mapped in the past as not underwater. That kind of thing.
Younger Dryas or whatever. Look at what the shoreline was hundreds of miles outside of
And that-
Florida. At that
Yeah, and that doesn't have to mean an ancient civilization of pre-Younger Dryas era humans had advanced technology that could pave a road, or something like that. It just means, like, oh, here's something that I haven't seen brought up before, and I haven't seen anything that explains it. And this is where I would need to, like, okay, if there is something that explains it, and I just haven't seen it, I just need to see that. That's all, and then I'm on board. That kind of thing.
It was good. It was. I enjoyed it. It was.
And I hope he
entertaining
comes back. But
and
yeah.
brings up questions, and so I knew it would fire him up as soon as I said something about burying it under a pyramid.
Can you? I wasn't sure if you still want to talk about the show or not, because there is something I want to talk about before we end. And now I'm realizing I should have probably pitched this or talked about this early in the show when more people were watching and in the chat.
Yeah.
But can you go to your governance issues?
Yeah.
And can you pull up the one, these voting for World Watching Roundtable? You probably haven't. Oh, you voted for everything already? Nice.
Yeah, it looks like it. So let's go to historical GIs. There's an AI. What should be the themes? Do you want me
There
to
it is.
open it
Yeah,
up and see
click
what I
on that
voted
real
for?
quick. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, it'll show what you voted for, I guess.
Yeah, that's okay. You can see
You
it
didn't vote
anyway.
for mine?
So there's the Game Show 2.0.
Oh, you did commit to it. Nice. No, you didn't.
Not-
4
no.
voters have committed. You didn't.
I can
vote
only, I
for
can
that?
only vote for one.
So then vote for that one.
Maybe I will. It'll be so. There's 4 that win. The top 4 win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who voted for this?
I saw this was going to
Who
win.
suggested
so I voted.
this?
I saw this was going to win, so because I knew there's 4 weeks, and so I voted for something else. John, I already knew you're going to win. It was awesome.
No,
How do
I
you
wanna
do a
win
mini
by
game for
large-
each reply?
I want to win by a large margin.
You
Okay.
will.
You don't
You
understand. Like
You got
I
18% right now.
Yeah, if 2 of you are thinking that way, though, then that's 2 people I don't get. You know, especially 2 people that have a lot of lives.
I don't remember what I voted for. Can you scroll
Like-
down?
Yeah, people have to come vote. That's why you wanted more people on right now, so that you could influence the vote better.
Exactly. So if you have lot in this layer, go vote for this. I don't know who suggested this. I don't know who saw that and was like, you know what, we need more specific game shows for the replies. Like that blog was my I am happy to do it. I know how to do it. It's not
Awesome.
gonna be hard to do.
Good.
I just think it's funny.
It was a hit. It was fun, man. It was
I
It
saw
fun.
was good. I
3
enjoyed
minutes
watching
ago.
it.
So I voted
Fall
for a
of
boring one. The fall of stablecoins.
Yeah, this one's above mine. Come on, buddy.
Yeah, I thought
So
about
you get
that one.
you get the second week and not the first week. That's all.
I get the week that I'm available.
Yeah, that's true.
And
I'll
yeah,
still-
I think I voted for that one, Wales.
Whales.
What does that
Whales.
mean?
Whales.
rich people?
The big money that's trying to control blockchain and kill it.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of like people with money that are manipulating the world.
Like
And-
Bitcoin was originally supposed to be digital cash, and it got manipulated into a store of value.
That's
I
a
would've
fair
done
statement.
reinventing. I like reinventing insurance for the mobile generation. I like that.
Yeah, can we get some insurance in Florida that's cheap? Maybe this will help.
So it's better that there's less people and your rates are going to go down because of it.
The Wales one I thought was
is
get a
how-
bunch of conspiratorial thought and thinking, and I like that
Okay.
conversation.
So yeah, basically rates like get crazy when there's more insurance companies because insurance companies have to buy reinsurance. And
Oh,
the price of reinsurance goes up when there's like more people, right? Like it's
mhm.
yeah.
When there's more insurance companies all trying to get the same
Yeah.
reinsurance stuff.
Exactly. So like therefore your rates go up and like yeah, and then because like all these other smaller like since there's a bunch they come in and like try to undercut people and then they have like horrible policies and then it's just a bunch of crazy shit.
Well, that hasn't. I mean, I hope that that's true, but so far rates have gone up across the board.
well
Part of it's inflation, replacement costs.
rates are going to go up a lot because of building costs have gone up a crazy amount because of COVID.
Supply chain.
Yeah, to think about how expensive the lumber was during COVID. How expensive
yeah,
the
I remember
house was.
like
It's
the
going to
mad-
be that way for a little bit.
the mad rush of almost every restaurant that needed an outdoor spot for people to eat, unless they like if they wanted to be able to be open. You know,
Yeah,
there were the prices of picnic tables at Lowe's and Home Depot. You know, went from $100 to like $200, and then they
It
weren't
was-
available.
it was because of shipping.
Yeah,
Because you couldn't ship materials here. They were all caught up in. They were all literally stuck on boats in the ocean.
I did see the price of
Because
like
of COVID.
a shipping container had ballooned basically, like to get a container that was coming across
Yeah.
either ocean.
Yeah,
That makes
'cause
sense.
it was crazy. So
Big
like,
bottleneck.
just
We're actually
building-
still dealing with a lot of supply issues.
hence why basically because also you're legally only allowed to increase your rates by a certain amount, and when you do you have to justify and file that with like the state of Florida or whatever insurance regulation that you have, whatever like it is for your state. So like rates are going up because like the cost of building a new home is going up because just building materials has gone up so much too.
Right.
If we're talking
And
about
then you
homeowners
add the
insurance.
attorneys and litigious society that we live in and all the
That's a-
lawsuits. And,
That's a whole other thing too.
yeah, malpractice example.
There's a lot of crazy. Florida's fuck the wild. Florida is the fucking wild west of insurance. Anyway, it's not that exciting to talk about. But yeah, who suggested fucking 2.0 game show? Like that's wild. Yeah,
I don't know. I could look it up.
I wanted to.
I could
I
look
was
it up right
like-
now.
Because I think I'm hosting this Thursday.
Are you hosting this week? Okay.
I think that's what we talked about. It's like which I was gonna talk to you about. It's like, am I hosting every week? Because I thought that's where we landed, but I'm not 100% sure because everybody's labeled as a host on.
Yeah, everyone's
The
a host
email?
except for everyone is a host except
Yeah.
for the host of the host.
Well, to me, like everybody's on the panel, but there's only one host. You know what I mean? Like the way I use words in my head, like there's one person that hosts the show, everybody else, and then like I have MC, Master of Ceremonies, like next to my name on the email, which is cool. But I don't know if that's a title for me as like a job title or the title for me on the show.
That's what it means on the show. So if you're the person that's hosting overall, then
cool.
you would be the MC, the master of ceremonies.
I thought she was just saying this is a thing John does. He's a writer, comedian, and an MC.
Yeah.
Like,
So if you're on there, as MC, then you're on there as then you'll be the host and stuff like that. Which makes sense. It was your proposal anyway. And unless somebody else wants to do it and you don't want to do it, we'll figure it out. But yeah,
no, I'm excited to do it.
Okay, cool.
I'm writing some like little bits and stuff for it. I'm like gonna write out like what the show, with the format and stuff, and it's gonna look like. But then it was cool that it's like, oh man, do I want to like not do as many little bits and kind of keep it like really open forum? But when somebody was like, I want to see Game Show 2.0, I was like, maybe they like the little bits and like they like the structure.
Yeah. I was looking right now, actually. I'm looking in the post where people put in their theme suggestions.
Yeah.
Here we go. It was Joe.
Oh, cool.
So here's Joe's suggestion that nobody voted on inside of here. But I would like to suggest an episode where the replies are mini games, e.g. trivia, races, etc., to be played by other denizens in reply, the blockchain host on the live show, or viewers on live chat. Depending on how the game show episodes go this week, the episode may need to endure a bit of interpretation from the hosts. I'd also like to suggest that T Swift or Die host this episode. So there's the recommendation. Now that is a little loosey-goosey, so you can make it into whatever you want, but there's some info on what that's about. Also, this seal looks like a
It's like
what is that thing called? The rocks curling.
pet
It's like a
rock.
curling stone.
Oh,
curly.
I thought this was like the original pet rock. It was just a seal. It was just a petrified
That's
seal.
bizarre.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like an image. It looks like it was a rock and someone put the image of the seal on top of it.
It could be. It could be.
CGI, but
Yeah, like it.
You know, some AI thing.
there's another seal out there that just thinks that this seal is so cute.
Speaking of AI, I saw this just now. Have you been messing around with any of the AI tools? Like,
Yeah.
it's funny. It's wild. I've seen this picture before, but I haven't seen it in meme format with the AI stuff currently. That's pretty funny.
So for tomorrow, it's like blockchain and restaurants.
Yeah. So the idea is like, what could you use blockchain for in the restaurant industry? And some of the easy ones are like supply chain, right? Being able to, like right now, if you have a nice restaurant that says, yeah, we have organic this and grass-fed beef from a local farm, and here's the name of the farm and stuff like that. Like, yeah, okay. they're probably not lying to you, right? Or they probably know where it comes from. But a lot of times, even whenever you buy something as a business, whenever you buy from a producer, you're just taking their word for it, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's vegetables that may have been injected with water or some other substance to make them weigh more, to get more money out of them, or if it's a situation like, I know Walmart at least once was selling ground beef that had a little bit of ground horse in it, just because they didn't not Walmart's fault necessarily. They didn't know
Right.
that the person that they were getting it from was taking people's old race horses and making, cutting their beef with it, basically,
Horse is delicious though.
I haven't had horse. I don't know.
It's really good.
I almost had some when I was in Iceland. It was on the menu in Iceland. I didn't get it though.
In Japan, that was one of the first things I learned. Baniku. Baniku means horse meat.
Oh,
so
yeah?
you look at
That was the
package,
first thing.
Yeah.
I still want to get some camel's hump. I'm sure I can find some in New York somewhere.
Is that just like a fatty part?
I don't know, but it was in rush hour. I want it.
It was in rush
camel's
hour.
He orders camel's hump. I'm like, I want to know where this restaurant is and go
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Let's revisit just for a moment, since we have the opportunity. Hey, sorry if you rage quit a minute ago. We weren't trying to make fun of you.
No, I didn't. No, I had a
Oh,
person.
okay.
It was just perfect timing, though.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
well, I didn't mean to spin it up and throw it out there for you
No.
and watch it.
No. All is well. It was genuinely perfect timing. I swear. I get fired up about shit, but I've known Dave forever. We don't.
That's
know each
great.
other.
So I think that is an excellent example of something that could be a discussion point on a Den post, where we talk about the Bimini Road, for example. I also think when you left, I and I were talking about how, it's bullshit. It's not man-made, sure. But there's some questions I have about it. And there's at least one interesting thing about it. And I would be interested to read whatever study is debunking it, the actual scientific studies that you were talking about.
Oh yeah.
Because the reality, the reality is I have not seen that, and that's the only thing is I didn't know they were debunked.
One of my
haven't seen
favorite
them.
things about the Bimini Road thing is that you can. So it's beach rock. All right, it's literally it's pieces of beach rock.
Exactly.
You can genuinely see in it the strenuation layers of natural sediment forming as it goes across. So it's 100% a geological thing. There's also no road stuff around it. Which is
I also don't
important.
think that it has to be man-made for it to be interesting, though.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And that's the only interesting thing about that to me is that there is an old map showing it apparently above the waterline.
Right,
but the sea levels rise and fall all the time. That could be totally natural.
I know what map you're talking about. So that map is the Powell something map. It's about 500 years old. It was 20 different maps put together.
Yeah.
And it's not showing Bimini. It's showing Puerto Rico.
Okay.
It's being held wrong. And the place that is being claimed as being Antarctica at the bottom with no ice on it is South America. So much so that it even says on it, the place with all the snakes.
The place with all the snakes.
Sounds a lot more like South America. And if they'd said that in the documentary, it's almost like we could have drawn our own conclusions. But
that sounds like Ireland to me.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually that. No, this was after. Hang on, was this after St. Patrick? Because if it was after St. Patrick, then he drove all the damn snakes out.
There were never snakes in Ireland.
It was just the pagans.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Gravity Crab, that I'm a huge Graham Hancock fan. As a matter of fact, he's the actual original, character where Indiana Jones was, and this hat right here is signed by Graham Hancock because I'm not such a huge fan.
And with that, that's our
I can
show,
never
so.
tell if you're full of shit or not. Sometimes I really cannot tell, and it's great. I love it.
Definitely, let's open a post in the history layer, though,
because of this. Sorry, I'm not trying to go back on it, but
no, that's fine.
No, go for it.
I've actually considered a couple of times being like, man, should I do a short 20-minute podcast every now and then, just talking about something weird in the archaeological world? I feel like that would be a blast to do.
We're definitely lacking short episodes on Den as a whole. Just
I can
in
do
general.
a 15-minute, here's this thing. And like one of my favorite like pseudo archaeology things is the Dendera light, which is not a light; it's the Egyptian creation myth. But like you can debunk that in like 2 seconds. Like they literally claim that it looks like a Crookes tube, but like the one thing about this thing, it looks like a light bulb, and that's the whole basis of the claim, right? And there's like a little snake coming out of it because it's the god of moon coming out.
Oh,
and it looks like a bulb, so they're just like, but it's got a filament. But then they claim that it works like a Crookes tube, which doesn't have a filament. So you get stuff
I could
like
be
that.
the anti guy that says, "Oh, this is a light bulb. Look at this," and then you would debunk it.
Yeah, that would be fun, actually.
Okay.
Now I've got it.
Yeah.
We've got
I'll do
my
it.
wheels
I'll do it.
turning here. Let's do an archaeological show.
And this is the kind of stuff that would be awesome. And for example, the history layer, I would love the history layer to be as tightly run as the history, the Ask Historians subreddit.
Yeah,
That's one of the few subreddits that I think they run a really tight ship. They're really strict about just people posting something that isn't adding to the conversation, and it ends up being really genuinely interesting content. And it's all armchair discussions, but it's really interesting.
Honestly, I'm one of those people who thought that you don't need to be like a degree holder or something like that to like consider yourself like a historian or something like that. Just be passionate and learn about the stuff that you like and get close enough, right?
Just like Graham.
Just like Graham Hancock.
See, that's
he has a
sentence.
sentence.
I have.
He has a sentence that says in the beginning of one. I'm sorry to cut you off, but he has a sentence in the beginning of one of his episodes that says, "I am no more a pseudoscientist than a dolphin is a pseudo fish." And there's 2 types of dolphins, and one of them is a fish.
One of them's a fish.
So
he was talking about a different one.
I am a pseudoscientist.
That's
is what
funny.
That says.
That's funny.
That's like my, I don't know, when you're like, you don't need to have the degree. I'm like, you don't, but also like you kind of learn the whole how to really do research and the value of using credible resources, as opposed to like what is it, like Dr. Phil, who goes onto a show and gives people like relationship advice when he has a philosophy degree, right?
Yeah, he's got
How's that working for you?
I don't think you should be able to, without a degree of something. Obviously, you shouldn't be able to like publish a paper or something like that. You know,
sure you can. You can publish a paper. The whole point of publishing is that other people can.
He's a genuine
debunk
therapist.
it.
He went to school as a therapist.
The paper thing is just like you got to know how to publish the paper, and you got to understand that people are going to tear it apart if you get anything wrong.
Oh, God, yeah.
If you don't cite, like I like Dakota and stuff, she has to cite like just like common knowledge shit, but like you have to cite everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty crazy. But we should probably get out of this show kind of soon.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
like 2 hours.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So, in closing, let's talk about that stuff in the history layer. Let's talk about maybe we could have different posts for different TV shows where we debate like how accurate or full of shit they are. One of them could be Ancient Apocalypse. Could do Ancient Aliens if you wanted to.
I was going to say I would love to do an Ancient Aliens episode.
There's also that. Yeah,
they're masters of taking an artifact, changing it completely, and then being like, "See how this works."
Dakota and I wanted to do it, the show called False Facts with John Branch, where you just say things that aren't true, and I find a way to make it true. Just this. I'm really good at justifying shit in a weird ass way. I don't know if you remember the AI show, the one that we did like World Blockchain or something like that I was on. Like none of half the shit I said I just made up on the spot.
Yeah, and some of it was really good too. Like Lego, something about Lego because of blocks, building blocks and stuff. Yeah, stuff like that.
That's clever.
And what was it? When will we get out of the?
It's so long ago. I don't know.
Some other something. It was just like the biggest bullshit ever that I just made up. It's like, wow, that makes sense. I believe you. I'm like, I just made this up now. But just finding, so I would love to have like somebody come on and be like, here's a question, and then I answer it, and then Gravity Crab answers it. And then somebody has to decide who's correct. Obviously, I'm never correct, and that's the fun part. But we'll figure it out.
I'm sorry. I just read
game.
this comment by Juicy J about making just a playlist of all the times the alarms go off.
Yeah, it's gold.
We gotta pay Dave Jacob Wayne to make that.
Yeah, and make that video. Cut that
Probably
video.
send him his hard drive first.
He's got it. I did send it to him.
Oh my god, I forgot you came and got that. Wow,
Did it work? Did you fix it?
I only got it about 30% of the data.
Aw.
That drive was boned.
Aw.
I'm surprised I got what I did. Well, on
It is
that note,
what it
let's
is.
wrap. It's time to
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Let's talk about stuff in the history layer. Let's give some questions to the thing about restaurants, World Blockchain Roundtable, the WBRT layer. That's tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Ask questions about restaurants, right? And how you can apply a blockchain to make it better.
Or worse.
Or worse. How can
cryptocurrency
blockchain break restaurants and make them shittier?
I like
And if
it.
anyone wants to know the definition of a road trip, share and like this video.
We also, I think we answered that question already in the beginning, talking about Miami, how there's all these blockchain meetups at restaurants during Bitcoin week. That's how you ruin a restaurant.
You ruin restaurants with Bitcoin.
You just
That's
wander in
what
with a
it is.
projector.
So we'll see you next Wednesday. And I will go and hand out lot now and make that little
Yes.
post saying
Yes.
how much everybody earned. Yeah, let's get it. All right. Here's a song called Enter the Dragon. It's made by Y'all Weird, another denizen.
Peace out.
See ya.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is probable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.